Now let's take a look at the latest coming in. Joe Biden is taking a lead in the state of Georgia, while the vote share of both Biden and Trump is at 49.4%. Biden is leading by 917 votes. Now remember, the state of Georgia has 16 electoral states, and Georgia is another state that Trump cannot afford to lose. Biden's mail-in ballot advantage has pulled him through as the results came in from Fulton County at around Atlanta, with 99% of the state vote count reported. Trump cannot find a route to the 270 electoral votes without Georgia and Pennsylvania, so his chances of securing re-election will hinge on the developments in the two states in the coming hours. However, the state isn't sealed yet, and we may not get a call for quite a while because the competition is so close. Now, long a Republican stronghold, southern Georgia has recently become more of a battleground state due to its growing black electorate. Now, Georgia last voted for a Democratic president in 1992, with Bill Clinton taking 43.47% of the vote to George H.W. Bush's 42.88%. With Joe Biden chipping away at Trump's leads in the states crucial to any chance of the president getting the 270 electoral votes, if Biden holds his lead and wins the state of Georgia, Trump's hopes of retaining the White House will be dashed, and Joe Biden will be declared the president-elect. Now, let's take a look at the updates coming in from the controversial U.S. election 3 days since the U.S. election wrapped up, and there is still no president. The outcome of this U.S. presidential election hangs in the balance. Team Trump is demanding to stop the vote count. On the other hand, the Biden team says that they must count every vote. Now, the anticipation and anxiety is at an all-time high in the face of political turmoil. But the election is a game of numbers. So let's get a sense of where the numbers stand. Now, according to the Associated Press, the Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden has 264 electoral college votes. President Donald Trump has 214 electoral college votes. Now remember, whoever reaches the magic number of 270 electoral college votes wins the race to the White House. Now these numbers are likely to change as 5 crucial battleground states are still counting ballots. Now let's first talk about Arizona. Joe Biden leads in the state with a 50.4% of the votes, while Donald Trump is not too far behind with 48.3% of the votes. Now, from what we are seeing, these numbers are from the Associated Press, which is called Arizona for Biden. The initial trend showed that Biden was in the lead, but Donald Trump redeemed himself in the state, making the competition almost neck and neck. Now, if Joe Biden manages to win Arizona, he will become the first Democratic presidential nominee since 1996 to do so. However, it is too soon to reach any conclusion yet. Now, the state had 400,000 uncounted votes on Thursday afternoon, so we will have to wait to know who gets the crucial state of Arizona. Now, moving on to Georgia. Georgia, another crucial vote. There are 16 electoral votes up for grab. We see that it is neck and neck. Both Donald Trump and Joe Biden have 49.4% of the votes. Currently, Biden is leading by just 917 votes in Georgia. It is indeed a tight race, and one we will be watching closely. Now let's take a look at Nevada. The pollsters have already given Arizona to Joe Biden to say that he needs to win Nevada to win the presidency. Now this is because Biden needs as many electoral votes as Nevada has to offer. Now Biden holds a lead of just 0.9%. The state is still to count 11% of the votes. Now moving on to North Carolina, we can see they have 15 electoral votes up for grabs, 50.1% votes to Trump at the moment, while Biden sits with 48.7% of the votes. Now this is a state where the two candidates held back-to-back election rallies. The state is a crucial one, 15 electoral college votes to offer. Trump slightly leading that vote with just 76,000 of the votes. Now remember, North Carolina also allows mail-in ballots postmarked by the election day to be counted if they're received by the 12th of November. So the election officials in the state say that the result will not be known until next week. 5% of the votes are yet to be counted. And finally, let's take a look at Pennsylvania. Now, both sides consider the state to be their stronghold. At this point, Trump is leading by 49.7% to Biden's 49.1% of the votes. Remember, Pennsylvania accepted mail-in ballots up to 3 days after November the 3rd if they were postmarked. Now, numbers are likely to change in Pennsylvania as well. Now, the battle has come down to 5 battleground states: Pennsylvania, Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, and Nevada. And we will be closely watching. Now, joining us live on this broadcast is Harsh V. Pant, the head of the Observer Research Foundation Strategic Studies. For more, thank you so much for your time this evening. This is a very close vote indeed. What are your views on the election so far?
Well, I think from the very beginning it has been quite an extraordinary election, once tilting one way and then suddenly moving in another direction. I think, from the very beginning, the idea that it would be first a democratic wave, we have not even seen a democratic ripple in that sense. And I think a lot of the pollsters got it quite wrong. And then it seemed as if it boiled down to a few battleground states where Mr. Trump had a decent lead. And now in the waning hours, we are seeing Mr. Biden catching up. So it's been quite a roller coaster, and it's not entirely clear to me that it will be over anytime soon, given that litigation has already started. And in some cases, we might not get, for example, in Nevada, we might not get a complete tallying of votes till later in the week. Or over the next few days. So I think it might be just that we'll have to wait and see what happens. But clearly, it's going to be it's going to be some more wait for those who want election results right now. I don't think we are going to get that anytime soon.
Yeah, a lot of people saying the sooner the better, but we do have to wait and see. Now, we did, in a way, expect a later result for Biden's mail-in ballots being counted later, for that to be pushing him ahead. What do we make of the India angle with the results of this election? What will it mean? We've seen the relations between India and the US improve over the last 4 years with President Donald Trump at the helm, and we see a very strong bond between Prime Minister Narendra Modi. What are we hoping for in terms of the India and US relations with this result?
Well, I think Indo-US relations are likely to continue on a trajectory which is upward moving, and we have seen great strides being made even in the last few years. And let us also remember that Mr. Modi's, despite all the talk of Mr. Modi's bonhomie with Mr. Trump, Mr. Modi has seen two administrations. It was Mr. Obama who was there in office when Mr. Modi came to office. Mr. Modi was successful in getting Mr. Obama back to India for his second visit during his presidency. So it has been quite an extraordinary, relationship in that sense that India, despite different governments in different administrations in office in the US, has been able to maintain an upward trajectory in the engagement. And the kind of, I think, decisions, the kind of strides that we have seen even in the waning hours of Trump presidency. For example, last week's 2+2 dialogue, where a very important agreement on geospatial intelligence and information sharing was signed, indicates that there is, India is not really a partisan issue. It is, if you look at the campaigns, both sides were very positive on India. Indian Americans have played a very important role, and both sides were keen to tap into Indian Americans. And I think that the more America defines its relationship and tries to define its role in the wider Indo-Pacific, India clearly will continue to remain a very, very important anchor for that engagement. So I don't see anything substantive changing. With Mr. Biden, of course, initial few months might be, might see a bit turbulence, because Mr. Biden himself will have to decide his own priorities. So India and foreign policy may take a back seat. But I think once the administration is settled in, I don't see any major problems that might derail this positive momentum that has been built over the last 2 decades, in fact.
Absolutely. And Harsh, what do we make of President Trump's late night statements at the press conference where he was claiming electoral fraud? What do we take from this?
I think he is, he is trying to make, he's politicizing the process of vote counting, and he's making a case that, look, there is something fishy going on, despite not much evidence, in his favor. But I think for him it is important at this point to delay the process as much as possible, so that he can create, or he can go to the courts with all kinds of issues that perhaps can be cropped up. So we have seen his team undertaking litigation on different aspects. At times it's about recount of votes. At times it's about some kind of fraud. At times it's about observers not being allowed to participate. So I think he and his team seems to be pursuing different strategies. And you may recall that Arizona actually has been called out for Mr. Biden, but Mr. Trump's team is not giving up on Arizona even till date. So there is a lot of contestation happening for every single vote. And for Mr. Trump, it's important that if he muddies the water, if he confuses the system, maybe there is a chance that at the end of the day, he may come out he may come out victorious. Though increasingly it seems that it's going to be very, very tough for him to do that.
Right. Harsh, thank you very much for your insights and analysis there. Thanks for joining us as always.